One of the races we're following closely here at Fox Carolina is the race for mayor in Simpsonville. It's a race that I was actually fortunate enough to be able to host a candidate forum for, where we heard from all three of the candidates who are running. And one of these candidates is no stranger to the title mayor. We're joined by Janice Curtis, who is one of the people running for mayor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I have to ask you, why did you decide to run this time around?
I decided to run because I know that my city needs guidance once again as far as our flooding issues. I myself have suffered through some flooding issues, and hearing the mayor's response to that really ignited a fire in me to say that my city needs me, my community needs me. So I think that's the primary reason, that and the traffic. And looking at the traffic patterns that are proposed right now, we've got several subdivisions along that way that will not have the opportunity to get back out into traffic once again without driving around the entire community to get to where they need to be.
You know, traffic is actually one of the questions. We wrote a couple of questions that we wanted to make sure we asked to everyone. And so traffic and growth overall is one of the questions that we wanted to ask about. So what is your plan to help with the traffic congestion, the growth, all of the boom that's happening in Simpsonville?
Sure. I think that the SCDOT has a plan that they're proposing right now, but we're looking at 18 months. 18 months is a long time to suffer through what we're doing right now. I believe that if we can take the initiative right now to calm some of the traffic that's going to be cutting through some of these communities. For instance, Poinsettia, the biggest community there, I think it's going to take more than placing stop signs every 20 feet in order to abate traffic that's going to be cutting through there.
As far as for the traffic itself, you mentioned SCDOT, so is it just kind of building the relationship with them and kind of working together, or is it more of the city taking over? What's the kind of relationship there?
SCDOT actually does the road improvements for the major part of Simpsonville. Simpsonville is unique in that we have county roads, we have city roads, and we have the state roads. A lot of people think that the state roads are just your interstate highways that you're traveling on, but we have state roads there in Simpsonville as well. So the state needs to get involved whenever we're talking about changing traffic patterns and everything on some of their roads.
Thanks for clearing up that. We wanted to make sure that that's clear as well, because, you know,
Yes.
It can be confusing with the roads, and, you know, people can put the blame where it's not meant to be. One of the other questions that we want to ask, make sure that we're asking everyone. So if after Tuesday you do win and you're elected as mayor, what do you want your first action to be as mayor?
My first action will actually be to form a committee to actually look at the flooding issues that we're having there in Simpsonville. Granted that until it rains, you're not going to know exactly who was impacted, but back in June we saw the gully washer come through that I actually had water standing in my basement, and just looking on Facebook at some of the people that were impacted by it and listening to the people come before council to speak about losing so much property and everything. And then for, you know, the response that they got from leadership in Simpsonville, it was just unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to your final push for voters, what do you want your final push to voters to be? What is the last thing that you want for voters to hear from you before they head on into the polls on Tuesday?
Sure. The last thing I want them to hear about is my dedication to Simpsonville, my substance of character when it comes to actually working hard for Simpsonville. I have gotten out there and I've actually put boots to the ground when it comes to, for instance, the Swamp Rabbit Trail. I initiated that aspect there in Simpsonville. And granted, it's less than a mile right now, but to actually expand on that into Fountain Inn, into Lawrence County, have that connection made there. And also the Arts Center there in Simpsonville. That's a flag that I wave wholeheartedly as far as the arts there in Simpsonville. That Arts Center would not be standing today if we, as an entire council, a council that I worked with, a council that I worked on, actually pushed that to fruition as well. So I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that there is now public restrooms in the downtown area. We didn't have that before I was mayor. So there's several things that I'm proud of that I was able to bring to Simpsonville, and I don't know that either one of my opponents can point to an accomplishment to compare to any of that.
Now, speaking of your opponents, one of the other is also a small business owner. And do you think that having owning a small business provides a different perspective when it comes to city council and being a mayor as a whole? And how, if it does provide a different perspective, how is it different?
It's different in the fact that not only am I a resident there, I'm a business owner there, and I know the things that we have to go through as small business owners. I know whenever I was the mayor, there was Small Business Saturday. I was in the front of getting out there and doing Small Business Saturday in the town square, bringing those people into Simpsonville to experience some of our small businesses there. And it's important to bring other small businesses in to actually have the ability to bring extra tax dollars into our community as well.
Now, speaking about the election, once again, running against Paul Shoemaker, is there any, I guess, strategical or I guess maybe a different approach that you're taking to the election this time around running against him?
As far as just the campaign as a whole, okay, the campaign as a whole, I'm out there and I'm doing the door knocking, I'm meeting people, I'm going to each and every event, I'm actually communicating with people. I'm not depending on others to do that for me. I'm actually in the forefront of all of this. So I feel like that's different as far as just what I experienced the first time and this time around.
And do you think that you getting out into the community will be that push to get you past Shoemaker as opposed to 2019?
I believe so. I believe so. And I'm confident. I'm confident that there will be a change. There will be a change.
With 3 new council members on the city council when, you know, the new mayor takes office, what do you think that will mean for the dynamic of city council and the mayor's office as a whole?
I think that several of the people that are running for city council right now have voiced their willingness to work with whomever they have to work with there. And I believe that they want what's best for Simpsonville as well.
All right, well, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.